live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Thursday, October 12th, going in depth tonight on a number of topics, but we're really going to get into the latest with the 8 passengers. Child abuse charges pertaining to Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. Haven't gone in depth on that in basically about a week or so. So we have some new video to show you tonight. As we go in depth this evening, you can always get in touch with us during the show. Use the hashtag 2 News Live to join our conversation. You can always find us on, Facebook, the X, and Instagram. I didn't say Twitter today. I feel like it's a victory. You can find us in a direct message, any of those platforms. Let's go in depth on the 8 passengers child abuse charges against Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. Now, last week, you may remember, the 4th District Court out of Utah County actually sealed the child welfare case, which involves Ruby's children. We haven't done a whole lot on that because it does involve children, but also involved in that is Ruby's husband, Kevin Franke. New video tonight showing Kevin at the Springville Police Department just days after Franke and Hildebrandt were arrested. The video shows Kevin picking up items from police after he reported a burglary at the Franke home in Springville. Before we show it to you, we have told you about this before, but this is the first time we've actually seen the interaction. We were the first to tell you about this last week in a report. Here is the article that's on our website right now. In it, you can see officers were back at Franke's home with a DCFS worker, Ruby's daughter, and other family members. They were at the home the day after Ruby was arrested to collect items for 4 of Ruby's children who are either in state custody or in the care of family. Kevin, Ruby's husband, called police the following day to report a burglary and reported items being taken. Here's a list of those items that Kevin wanted: 3 tablets, 3 cell phones, 3 cameras and GoPros, a stack of written journals, and 3 passports for Kevin, Ruby, and one of their older children. Ultimately, police told Kevin there was no burglary. The front door had been broken down when they were, along with DCFS, serving a search warrant that initial day when Ruby and Jody were arrested. They were trying to locate 2 of Ruby's children who were unaccounted for that day. Kevin's daughter had taken the items we just described to you. She brought them back to police the following day, and then they gave them to Kevin. Here's the interaction between Kevin and police.
There you go. Is it all there?
Yes. Yeah, explain to me again why this was not robbery.
Because it's a civil issue. You guys are family. She's been in the house before. You haven't been in the house in a year. She had interest in the items. She didn't take them with the intention to deprive you of them. So theft, that's the theft code. We have to prove intent to deprive you of the items. And that wasn't her intent in having them. So the detective sergeant said that we're not going to charge her for anything.
Okay. I'll have to do some more research on that.
You're welcome to do that. If you want to follow up with our detective, you can yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be here on.
In police reports, it's noted that Kevin hadn't been in the home for the last 13 months or so. The reports not only outlined that he intended to press charges against his daughter for theft, but that police would be hearing from his attorney. Last week, I reached out to Kevin's attorney, Randy Kester. He told me, quote, Kevin didn't do either. He and Sherry are working together on bygones and resuming a loving and healthy father-daughter relationship. That is the daughter in question here. The statement continued, Kevin is still trying to understand and correct the upside-down world that was dealt him. It's a lot to deal with all at once. As for what's next for Franke and Hildebrandt, we were initially told the next steps would be determined shortly after October 5th. It's now the 12th and no hearings have been scheduled. I've recently reached out to Franke's attorney and Hildebrandt's attorney. I did get a response from Ruby Franke's attorney, the office of Lamar Windward. They told me, quote, at this time, our firm does not have an update on the next court hearing. We will not be making a statement at this time for the protection of all parties involved. Hildebrandt's attorney, Doug Terry, did not respond to my messages inquiring about the next steps. As for the Washington County Attorney's Office, my messages to them have also gone unanswered over the last week or so. We've been covering the 8 passengers child abuse allegations over the last month. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel for all of the content in our 8 passengers playlist to watch all of the coverage. Defense attorneys for the Summit County woman accused of poisoning her husband, then writing a children's book about grief, are asking the judge to throw the entire case out. They're accusing the Summit County Attorney's Office of prosecutorial misconduct. That was a long one. And they say the charges should be dropped. The trial should be moved. Paul Nelson can say the word. He's joining us now. Paul, what are attorneys asking for?
Well, I have tripped up on that word several times today, but there's the main thing that they are asking for. This is Kouri Richins' defense team. The first thing that they ask for is that the entire, all the charges actually be dropped because of this prosecutorial misconduct. The second option that they ask for is you can move it away from Summit County. Now, some people might be wondering, I'm in front of the Matheson courthouse. This has nothing to do with the case. Why are we even talking about this? Well, if defense attorneys actually get their way, it could be brought here into Salt Lake County. And that's just one of the things that they're asking for. Another thing is to have the walk the dog letter, the infamous walk the dog letter, which a lot of their motion to dismiss revolves around, that they have that kind of just not released into evidence at all. And they all are also actually asking that the Summit County's Attorney's Office be disqualified. Those are the four main points that they were asking for with this motion to basically dismiss the case. Now, as far as when this hearing is going to happen to consider that motion, the defense attorneys actually have three motions all at the same time that they want to have heard. One, the motion to drop the charges. Two, another motion to sanction the prosecutors for what they call as misconduct. And the third, their opposition for the no contact order between Kouri Richins and her mother. And they want all of those motions to be heard all at the same time. So when that day does happen, it could be a pretty intense legal battle with a lot of different motions being heard.
Paul, I know you were making plenty of phone calls today to some people to weigh in with some insight on this. Did anyone give you a timetable of saying, hey, this really could happen relatively soon? We know the court system can just take almost forever in some of these high-profile cases.
That's true. I mean, matter of fact, the Summit County Attorney's Office doesn't have to actually respond to the motion to drop the charges for the next couple of weeks. One attorney that I spoke with said the absolute soonest that it could possibly happen is 21 days from today. Now, we did also speak with some attorneys who weighed in on the likelihood of whether or not this motion would pass, and more than one said it is highly unlikely that a murder case would actually be dropped because of prosecutorial misconduct. And I asked, what about the change of venue? And one attorney that I spoke with said, since the complaint was that the charges of witness tampering were reported in stories all over the globe, they wonder if a change of venue would do any good. They say, is it possible that Salt Lake County would be less tainted as a jury pool compared to Summit County? And they have their doubts about that. So they believe that the charges won't be dropped, and also they believe it's going to be very hard for the defense team to convince a judge that one jury pool would be better than another.
Paul Nelson joining us live tonight, camping out outside the courthouse. Paul, we always appreciate you. The Summit County murder case is a story we've been reporting on for months. If you've missed any of our previous reports, you can always just get caught up with all of the developments in one place, KUTV.com. Let's talk about it. Snow at high elevations. It's always fun to see those pictures. Mountain communities, Big Cottonwood Canyon, SR 190 to those affectionately knowing the difference between SR 210 and 190. They woke up to several inches of snow, giving them a taste of winter ahead of the forecasted fall. Last winter's historic snowpack caused a number of issues in areas like Brighton. They had structure collapses. They had even roof avalanches there, one of those being deadly. Ariel Harrison down to lower elevation after spending the afternoon at Brighton. Ariel, I see you're at the base there at Big Cottonwood. How are they prepping up the road there for another snowy season?
That's right, Brian. We are at the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon, and take a look at this backdrop. My goodness. The mayor of Brighton tells me in his 45 years living there, he's never seen fall colors quite this vivid. It's just gorgeous, and you can see that just on the tip of the mountains up there that the snow is just there on the top. It's beautiful. And then obviously if you go further up the canyon, that's where we saw several inches fall near Brighton. Now, to get to your question, what are they doing to better prepare? They're really trying to educate people like they saw last year with the issues of clearing snow off the roofs. They don't at this point at least anticipate that it will be quite the issue. We had a historic snowpack last year that people were having to shovel off their roofs, and that's where we ran into issues with snow falling off roofs onto people and getting into some very scary situations. So snow removal safety. They're also, oh gosh darn it, they're also working to help people navigate the canyon a little bit better, right? So parking is always a big concern. They're now restricting it and also requiring reservations in Big Cottonwood Canyon. That's something they're working on, because when you get so many vehicles parked on the road, it can block in, if say an emergency vehicle needs to get through, it can block that traffic where someone in an ambulance isn't able to get their emergency care. So there's a number of reasons they're trying to do this also, so more people can access the canyons. They don't want to limit it. They want to make sure people can get up and down. They long-term are working with UDOT. They hope to be able to add a bus lane eventually, and also transit centers where buses don't actually have to go into the resorts and clog up the traffic further there. So those are a few things the mayor mentioned to me, but gosh, it's just beautiful, and people up in Brighton, they were so excited to see the snow.
Ariel Harrison, tough assignment today. Okay, I wish I had traded places with you at times, because I love the seasons colliding, the fall and the winter. You got to view kind of some picture perfect Big Cottonwood landscapes. Very cool. Thank you, Ariel. Of course, we want to hear from you at home. Weigh in on the poll. Grab your phone, scan the QR code here. What are you looking forward to with winter approaching and snow in the mountains? It is October. It happens. Chase will tell you. Most of you are saying bring back summer. I'm not there. Bring it on. Let's go. Change those seasons. Meteorologist Chase Thomason here with your first alert forecast. Ooh, a foot.
Yeah, that's a big number. Not at the base, but pretty high up at 9,700 feet. Still, a lot of snow falling up the Cottonwood Canyons with this latest storm that happened a little early in October. Typically, we see these storms maybe by late October, but it's really not that unusual to get some mountain snow this
time. Do we know if Trent went for a little skin up anywhere?
He did not.
He did not? Okay.
He did not.
Whatever.
Not enough for him. He needs a couple feet.
Needs a couple feet? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there were some dedicated folks that took advantage of that. Obviously, right now, it just made a mess on some of the roads at higher elevations, but will this melt or will this stay? What do we think?
Well, that's the big question, and I think at least some of it is going to melt, but maybe some of those shady areas, the north-facing slopes, that snow might stick around. Typically, we don't like to see a lot of snow in the month of October because that can create a really unstable layer. As we melt some of that snow, creates a lot of ice. So either we need to melt it all or we just need to keep it going.
All right.
So we'll see what happens. The forecast is, though, for some pretty quiet weather going forward. So let's get right to it. Here's how much rain we picked up here in the valleys. Anywhere between about a quarter inch to an inch of rain. So pretty decent. Magna, the big winner, just over an inch. Bountiful Bench, just under an inch of rain. Mill Creek, 9/10, just under 9/10 in Highland down in Utah County. Logan, about 3/4 of an inch. Spanish Fork, 0.64, and Ogden, a ½ inch of rain. Storm is now well away from Utah, but we're still on the back edge of it. So we got that cloud cover and that northerly flow, but the snow and the rain is generally east of Utah. We still can't rule out, though, maybe a spotty shower for tonight, but after midnight, those skies will be clearing. It's going to get very cold. We do have freeze warnings out there for a good chunk of our valleys of central Utah. Nephi, well below freezing tonight at 27 degrees. Richfield, though, you're going to get close to freezing. Same thing with Price. So think about those sensitive plants like tomatoes. Either cover them or, if you can, bring them in, or just pick all your tomato plants right now before it gets too cold, because 28 degrees will kill a tomato plant. That's the forecast for Cedar City. 44 in St. George, clear skies. Again, a few lingering clouds, though, and we'll keep it mostly sunny, cloudy for your Friday. A little bit milder, but still below normal. Lots of 60s in northern and central Utah, upper 50s in northeastern Utah. St. George coming in at 75 degrees. So we've got the cloud cover, got a little bit of mist out there, some sprinkles, some flurries in the mountains. This will likely continue through about 11 o'clock or midnight, and that's when skies begin to clear after. And then here's that high cloud cover that I mentioned for your Friday. Busy travel day on Friday because folks are going to be going down to central and southern Utah for the annular eclipse. And here is the latest forecast. Now, it's going to be dry. Big question, though, with cloud cover. Is it going to clear enough so we can see some good visibility of the Ring of Fire? And I think it will. There might be some clouds, though, out in southeastern Utah. But if you want the best visibility, central Utah and portions of Nevada are looking great for the eclipse. We also have some football games beginning Friday evening. Fresno State at Utah State. Temperatures will be chilly, but it will be dry, so just grab a heavier coat. The Utah football game, though, on Saturday, probably don't need a jacket with those temperatures in the 60s throughout the game. Saturday afternoon is looking really nice here along the Wasatch Front. And down in southern Utah, if you head to those national parks, it'll be beautiful. A little warm, though, by the end of the weekend into the mid-80s. We'll be in the mid-80s as we start off the new week. And then there's a slight cool down coming by the middle part of the week, but no rain. Salt Lake 63 jumps to 70. We're forecasting 39 though for tonight, so no freezing temperatures here in Salt Lake. 74 on Sunday, 77 on Monday. That's a nice little warm up, and yes, that's going to be melting some of the mountain snow. We'll see how much it actually melts with that low sun angle now in October, but there will be a weak storm passing by to our north. It looks like it's going to basically miss us, so no rain, but temperatures cooling off a little bit, but not that much into the 60s.
Well, for people that love what we saw or woke up to today on some of the cameras, I always check the cameras there because I love seeing what's going on. Is there a pattern that could come here in typically early November? Is there something that we would see that would indicate, hey, we could be in for an early start for some of the resorts? I know Brian had last year, November 4th.
Right.
They opened.
We look at, climate-wise, El Nino is going to be very strong this year, and typically that yields a lower jet stream, and those storm paths will be pushing into maybe southern Utah, potentially some of that making it to northern Utah. That's the overall pattern. So will that happen? We think it will, but when will that switch start? We're still waiting for it. That storm that we just had this morning and yesterday, that is not the switch because we're warming back up. But it's still early.
It was a fluke.
Just a storm that's moving in.
Just something to get you all excited.
Yep.
Thank you, Chase. Thanks for watching 2 News Live. We are here tomorrow at 5:30, Monday through Friday. Thanks for joining us for more in-depth conversations. Of course, those topics that impact you and your family, like snow. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.
What's German for snow?
Schnee.
Schnee.
Yep.